All right. Good afternoon and happy Friday to everyone. Let's see here. I got sound going to the OBS. We got green on the bitrate. I did fire up the YouTube. We are going there, so let me just shuffle around so I can see these chats, and I think we are ready to go. How's it going, DJ Devin? We are? All right, so good afternoon, good evening, good day, happy Friday to everyone. Thank you for watching. This is the Deep Dive program. My name is Tim. I go by Foamy Guy on GitHub and Discord. This is a weekly live stream program where we are working on things related to CircuitPython. If you don't know anything about CircuitPython, I would encourage you to start at the base website here for the project, circuitpython.org. Basically, this is an implementation of Python that runs on tiny computers called microcontrollers, such as this device here in the middle. The screen is actually a separate device in this case, but this one in the middle is a microcontroller. It's running CircuitPython, and what that allows it to do is connect up to our PC as though it were a thumb drive. We can then edit a Python code file on that thumb drive and save it, and the microcontroller will read our Python code from that file and execute it on the microcontroller. These things come in all different shapes and sizes. If we click over here to the downloads page, you'll see a list of all of the 388 devices that currently support CircuitPython. They come in all shapes and sizes and various different levels of built-in hardware and things, from the bare minimum, cheapest possible device with just I/O pins and basically nothing else, all the way up to things like the Macro Pad, which is a more purpose-built device with 12 cherry keycaps and a screen and a knob and several other things. Some of them are very tiny, like the size of a postage stamp or so. This doesn't have anything for comparison, so I guess it's tough to say, but this device happens to be pretty small. But that's the gist of it, is all these devices can run CircuitPython, which means we can write our Python code for them and have them interpret and execute that code for us. So that is kind of the core idea of the project, the main thing that we're messing with. Let me do that. If you're interested in learning more, again, circuitpython.org, that's a good place to go. Also, if you can join us over on the Discord, which is linked down below me on the screen there, adafru.it/discord, which is also the chat that is directly below me, is the Adafruit Discord, and we are currently in the live broadcast chat, but there are CircuitPython dev and help with CircuitPython channels where you can discuss or learn about or just hang out and talk about all things CircuitPython. How's it going, Beata? Got snow this year being done. We're back and forth between freezing and springing. Yikes, no snow for me. It was a tad colder today than it had been probably for about the last week. But knock on wood, at least no snow around me. Hopefully you snap back to springing sooner rather than later, and it will melt off whatever you did end up getting. Let's head back to the browser for just another minute or two. So yeah, circuitpython.org, the Discord, those are the two places to go if you want to get in touch or learn more about the project or get involved. CircuitPython is an open source project. Anybody is allowed to use it on your own devices. Anybody is allowed to port it to their own devices. So if you are a hardware manufacturer, you are allowed to port CircuitPython to your device for free. The company that sponsors CircuitPython, the company that pays all the developers who work on the project, is this company, Adafruit. This is their website, adafruit.com. They're a hardware and software company based out of New York, and they pay the team of folks who work on the project full-time. There's also some folks like me who work on the project part-time and are paid to do so by Adafruit. So a huge thank you, of course, to them. And then if you want to help support the project, one of the ways you can do that is just by purchasing hardware from Adafruit. They manufacture and sell many different microcontroller devices, much like the ones we saw on the downloads page back there. Here's one of those. They also manufacture and sell other breakout devices with all sorts of other things, sensors, buttons, lights, speakers, buzzers, beepers, knobs, levers, you name it. They have a breakout for it. You can connect it up to your microcontroller and interact with it from Python code. So head over there, get yourself some goodies, and help out the project in the process. And thank you to those of you that do. Let me shuffle a few more actually around here. Let's put this one on top. Let's turn the preview off on that one. It hailed a couple of days ago in Florida. I will say I did actually get some hail as well a few days ago. It was probably 3 or 4 days ago, I want to say. We got some hail in the middle of the day. I did not get a chance to see how big it was, but it sounded pretty big. By the time that I got out there and looked, it had like already melted though, so it must not have been huge, but it was also like kind of warm, honestly, especially for hailing. Where I am jumping in today is some issues that I saw pop up in the core that are around DisplayIO and related things. Like this one is Vector.io, which is not technically inside DisplayIO, but kind of goes along with it. So there's this one. There's a couple other issues as well that I will take a look into if we finish up the first one. Terminal.io thing, an I2C display thing, and then this one, which is Vector.io. So the first thing to do on this one is basically this is just saying Dan filed the issue saying there's a warning when you do a build that says we're taking the absolute value of an unsigned type. So it's unsigned, i.e. can't be positive or negative, i.e. taking the absolute value of it doesn't really make any sense. That is what the compiler is trying to tell us. It's not a showstopper. It still continues and finishes the compile, but it's unnecessary, and the compiler is trying to tell us that. So the fix for that is actually, I think, pretty straightforward. We're just going to take off the absolute value on here, make sure that nothing breaks, and then I think that's all we would need to do. There is some more discussion on this one, which I will be honest is a bit over my head. So they go on to talk about some of the XY math, which occurs a little bit below the code where it's dealing with the radius. And so I have read through this, but I did not quite follow. I'm going to give it another read through here. So this is what we're going to do for sure. X and Y should have absolute, it says. Circles placed by their center point. Math only needs to be concerned with the first quadrant. The other three are symmetrically mirrored. You could factor out absolute value by doing signed math up to the end, but I think you might have to store one more variable if you did so. Don't understand the point of int x times x, and it does not recover the sign. What is the purpose of the casting? So that circles at 256. It circles at x less than 256, or no, greater than 256, and greater than 256y can still be handled. Do I have displays bigger than that? I have the new e-paper display, which is bigger than that, but that's the hack tablet is bigger than that. A couple, I guess, yeah. I suppose we have like the big featherwing in thing as well, so multiply that, what do you get? This is about how many bits it takes to store the int. Will we do uint? So this is about where I'm lost on this, truthfully. Support nearly every positive position of int 16, x and y. Ideally, we would widen to uint 32 instead. Then it would give you much bigger range. Pixel, don't quite follow the phantom pixel. Being explicit may be helpful. Which is always 32-bit. Personally, I prefer explicit when bit width matters. Always forget the rules for implicit widening. Yeah, and so I don't even know the rules for implicit widening, so I cannot forget those, but I do not know them. Then I'm assuming this is basically how it treats like when you do math across numbers with different bit widths. But I don't know what the actual rules are in C or anything else, truthfully. Whether I'm on 8, 16, so the machine, so it helps read it. It would be helpful to others reading it as well. Otherwise, implicitly dependent on the size of int or pointer. Again, I'm not sure. I notice that below, even after absolute value, we're using int 16t. On ARM GCC, that results in LDRSH. I don't know what that is, truthfully, LDRSH. We do, let's see, while if we absolute valued to unsigned int, we would do LDRH with no S. I assume that is, I guess, signed versus unsigned. Math which is simpler, zero extending, widening. I don't know whether the performance is better between A, storing two new uint 16 values on the stack, or B, 4 instances of LDRSH instead of LDRH. I've not checked pixel fill rate on the circle to compare the two options. In case you're feeling spicy. I'd be happy to test that, but honestly, I have no idea what they're like. I can follow kind of what they're talking about, but I don't know what the change in the code would be. I think the TFT Featherwing is bigger than that. Yeah, okay, yeah, 3.5 inch 480 by 320, so we could try on that one. I don't know what these units are. It seems like these are a unit. Yeah, I'd be happy to try that, whatever it is, but I would have to get more specific direction about how to make the change that they're referring to there. I'm guessing it's like something to do with changing this, I suppose, to not have these castings, but instead utilize one or the other of these options. I don't necessarily see mechanically how, like, inside the code, how that would happen. So this one is at 26 inside shared module for the circle. So I am just on main here. I did update before I started today, so that was good. We don't have to wait on that. Let's make a new branch, because ultimately we're going to try to aim for having a PR. I don't know if I need to be in the root or not, but I'm going to go to the root of the project. Git checkout -b. Let's say vector.io unsigned warning. Vector.io unsigned warning from Adafruit main. Is our remote called Adafruit? I hope so. Is there a way I can see? Yeah, okay, Adafruit main. No track. How's it going, C. Grover? 2.4 inch is 320 by 240. Not sure which one you have. I think I actually have one of each. 2.4 and the 3.5. I'm not 100% positive, though. Maybe something slightly different. Okay, we're on our new branch. This should... Oh, no, we're not. Adafruit main is not a commit. Ada... Oh, okay, I made Adafruit. Here we go. Now we're actually on our new branch, and it changed down here. Although I guess you all can't see that very well. Shared module, vector.io. This is in circle. 26, so it's much here-ish. Radius. So that's going absolute value of the radius, which came from self, which was on, I guess, vector circle T, which gets back to circle H inside here. There it is, unsigned. This one would just get no absolute value. And then I'll leave this alone. But yeah, if I can get more specific direction on what the proposed other changes that they're talking about are, I'd be happy to try them out. So we just need to make a build like this. I'll make a build for the... I mean, do we want to go right into that? I think I'm gonna make a build for the other TFT. Yeah. A slightly different one. This is an I2C display, I think, which the other issue that's in there is for I2C displays, one of the other issues. So when we dig into that, but for now, I'm actually going to start with this one, which is a... Oh, camera died, huh? Oh, sorry. Actually, I'm going to use this one for right now, which is a Feather TFT. Just because it has a built-in display. And so the code to test anything with VectorIO will be a lot less. Ports, expressive. I don't need this up. How's it going, Axel Magnus? VCO Wizard is here. VC0? VCO or VC0? Can't actually tell. Expressive. This will be where we go. We need to do export dot space dot slash ESP export. Now we can make a build, I think. Make, what do we have actually? Should do a clean, I guess. Make board this clean. And I guess we should probably do like, boy, I probably should have made a build before we made the change. Let's put that back and try to make a build. And then I guess, I don't know if we need V1 or V2. Basically, though, we want to try to find the output. That way we can actually confirm it doesn't do it after we make the change. So let's start with V1. And then I think we just have to, like, find it in here. These go by directories, I guess. That would be pi and then shared bindings, probably, before shared module. XT mod. Supervisor. Shared bindings. There's some shared bindings. How's it going, Todd Bot? Thanks for making DisplayIO better. We're trying to, for sure. Yeah, I'm always happy to. I'm like a bit like a moth to light a little bit. I can't shy away from a good DisplayIO tweak, bug fix, or little improvement here and there. Whoa, that's pretty sweet. I've never seen that do all of that before. DJ Devon 3 updated itsy bitsy breadboard adapters on order, so I could send you one after it passes the test. You know what else is in, speaking of improving DisplayIO, what we will say some props and hug reports for this week is another one which I saw, which maybe we'll test this out. Or is it looks like it's maybe merged now. Isn't there It is GIF is what I'm thinking. Palette support for GIF. GIF? I swear I just saw this go by. Palette? That change? Oh, not new issue. Why is that? Background? Oh. I'm on issues somehow. Okay. That's what we just did. Okay, this one. So Mark has been working on this GIF and has added use palette for being able to do a GIF with a palette instead of a color converter, which seems pretty sweet. I think this has finished. So let's see if we can find our error in here. This is basically saying an absolute value of unsigned. Search this absolute. Get that. Goes dot dot. So it says the thing. Have shared module slash vector.io. We do have the CC, but I see where this is from. So I guess let's try the V2. Oh. Is this one prints a lot more stuff though. Like a lot. Honestly, this might actually print too much stuff to be able to see it all. This is already scrolling off the top, I think. So we could send it to a file instead. Get a Toddbot for all the DVI and SynthIO progress? Yeah, for sure. I just put the alert. I just signed up for the alert for the Feather HDMI. I missed them the first time around. I don't know when the new batch will be, but I'm excited to get that and start playing with it as well. Okay, these ones are something different. That's inside Espressive. I am used to seeing those. Problem is we just have these massive walls of flags. I would have assumed it would be around there somewhere. Did we make a build that's not Espressive? Maybe the different GCC treats it differently? Because, yeah, I don't see any errors in there about... Okay, let's try a different port. I have a PyPortal Titano here. Still not actually sure which V we would need. Or do I need like --warn or something? That is not the right string. Right there. Honestly, I think we might have freaked it out with the volume of stuff. Surprised that actually see all of that. Oh, no. Really sure how to get the error. Violation generates this mild warning. Is there a different flag you need to pass in order to show warnings? Never thought that CircuitPython would advance to this level without FPGA or some such hardware. Yeah, for sure. And my stuff. Here feels like the beginning of something special. 40. Warning. Inhibit? Make all warnings into errors. That's not really what I want to do, though. I want to show the warnings. Request or suppress warnings. Inhibit? W all? All? Turns on the following warning flags. Let's try that. I've seen the error, don't remember on which build, but I didn't give any special flags to get it. Okay. I will try, I guess, Raspberry Pi RP2040 is the only other one I have super handy for trying it. As far as I know, Expressive port uses its own GCC, and then as far as I know, all the other ports that aren't the actual big Raspberry Pi use the same one. Maybe it's not a it's not a matter of which GCC you have. Maybe it's something different inside there. Broadcom port is the big Raspberry Pi. Okay, Espressence has its own. Litex has its own. Espressif uses own as weird. I don't have it. I think once the IMX features get sorted, it's going to open up new pathways. It's just knives. And it's got, I don't know if Dan's around right now or not, but I'll ask in the Python dev over here. And maybe I'll have an idea on that. I'll try a Raspberry Pi Pico RP2040 build. I don't know if that will be any, I would assume it's no different, but let's try it. So that one's gonna be Raspberry. Gonna make a so I guess for this one we will just make a Feather RP2040. That feels like it must be a new thing that I don't have yet. Probably I need to go make fetch submodules. Yep. Remove first. Remove submodules before fetch. they get, is it like reset again, where you have to remove them if you have the old ones? I know there was a change recently where, like, if you had before the change, then you would need to do that for after the change. I think I have done that in this repo, though. We'll see if it fails on me. I'm also not 100% sure of the nature of it, but my understanding is I think it was like you do have to clear when you go from old way to new way, but once you get to new way, then you don't need to anymore. I could be wrong about either that or even about me being on the new way already. So y'all see. Stuff. I ran this one before the stream started. I forgot something. Okay, into Raspberry. Whoop. I don't know, like, we don't get warnings on any of these. I guess maybe there are not very many other warnings. It's weird. In the Espressif build, we saw the warnings, like, at the very end, but they were just for some things inside the ESP Don't seem to, like, really ever see warnings for anything inside of, like, shared bindings or shared modules of our code, I guess. So it's CircuitPython core. Yeah, just passed them right there. All right, well, ideally we would see the error and then make the change and see that it no longer has the error. Seems like we're not really able to see that warning though so far, so I think we're gonna just make the change and then we'll test it on the device and try to make sure it's not broken. We can't really necessarily see that the warning went away because we weren't seeing the warning on my side. I'll go back to, I think, the Feather TFT though, so I'll go. Whoop. GitHub, let's see, me and GitHub apparently is a dangerous conversation. Combination, one mistake, you can easily leak data. Moving GitHub, yeah. Moving history definitely is a whole rabbit hole. This maked not found. That's fair. Whoop. So this is the actual build with the change. While that's running, let's also grab some vector IO. This should be a more fully featured code snippet, maybe. Be nice if this had everything you need. Not quite complete. This is I2C. This is temperature sensor. We don't need this. We really only need to test circles, so I'm just gonna grab up to here. We're gonna need a bunch of different stuff though, like this. I'm gonna call this main group instead of group. Actually change it for the rest of them, but that's okay. We're gonna need more like board. We're gonna need what else? Anything else? Maybe not. I don't know. Let's see. Display. Group palette. Color that is. Let's do something more green. DisplayIO we can import. Install it though. Radius. Let's go like 30. Screen's not too big, so we don't want it to be too far out there. Main group append the circle, then go display.show the main group. Or we could use the new one, I guess, if we wanted to. Root group. To get used to doing it this way, equals main group. And we'll need while true. Past that. We have a build. Let's get to bootloader. Feather. Just got it on the Scilabs build. Shared module, DisplayIO and function Scilabs build. Not done a Scilabs build yet. Is that a separate port or? It's Scilabs, okay. I've not done anything inside there yet. Is there a like README or whatever for, does it need its own setup? Oh. Yep. And also mention Scilabs. Okay, so I did make a build. I did copy it to the device. It did run. We do have a green circle. So far, all appears good. I will try a build in here. You have to do anything special? Default JRE. UCC ARM, I think we downloaded separately, not installed with apt. Do you not have to CD to ports? I had to CD to ports. Display root group is the replacement for display.show, right? Yes, that is correct. Display.root group. I'll say the setting of display.root group is the replacement for display.show. You can also do a getting of display.root group, which is different from display.show. I think you need to get LFS. I think the rest works normally. Need to get LFS. The issue only over 256. No, the over 256 was more of the XY. He was saying why the casting was done on the XY was something to do with over 256. Is my understanding. So I did fail. I did print out a lot of stuff. It LFS. Is that one that was in this list of sudo apt? Is. What is that? Get large format file support. Do I need to do fetch submodules again? You remember that as well. I could supposedly get a newer Git, which would let me do something different inside there. Really do anything new this time. Is it big enough on this one? Yeah, no, this one does not have 256 pixels in either direction, I don't think. Actually, no, off the top of my head. How wide is that feather TFT? Is it 240? Yeah, 240 by 135, so not quite enough to do 256 there. It's alright though. I think that was not about the bit that we were doing anyway, though, truthfully. The 256 was the casting. And one of those other alternative ways that it could work other than the casting. Didn't quite grok. Get a fit still. Syntax error. I think that's where it failed before too. Hard part is, maybe we should, let me try without V1. Hard part is like there's so much here. Like how do you, again, trying to figure out which part is the error. Without the get LFS, one of the clones during the fetch submodules didn't work. Okay. Maybe I may need to redo, because I did try fetch submodules again, but it didn't seem like it grabbed anything new. Possible I need to do the remove. Yeah. I did see a warning up there, I think. Oh, but, oh no, yeah, but we also, oh, but I'm on the changed one. Okay, so we're at least getting past this, actually. Even if I fail the build, that's fine. Because I don't actually have, I don't know, even really know what these devices are for, truthfully. And I do not have one to load, so I definitely can't try it on real hardware. But we did make it through the VectorIO build. So unfortunately, we printed out so much stuff that we can't see it. That back. Let's do make clean again. Let's do make again, but let's go. Can't you do it like this one? Put a file, or no? Or do you need cat? How do you send it to a file? Okay, I was right. Just the arrow and then. We don't actually get to see it in there. I could open it. It will open here, but it's not going to refresh live, I don't think. I could like tail it, I guess, and it would refresh live. But I think what we'll do is just give it a second to run, and then it should crash the same way again. Should be able to look in here. Oh, some outputs even came out. Interesting. Maybe we will see it here. I assume that would put it into here. Oh, yeah, there we go. That's actually the one we're looking for. And we did not see that when we had the code changed. I wonder if there's a way to do a newer compiler on a different port. Could I just try a newer GCC on Espressif or Atmel and then maybe get additional warnings? Will this rewrite the file? Or add to the end of it? Oh. Gotta do a clean, actually. We will still see a few of the other ones, but not the vector.io one. It's a long way around to get rid of a warning, but I have learned some more about different compilers and the new port. Be my first time attempting to build the new port, although it is like brand new. And I don't have successful builds yet, so I'll have to figure out my submodules. That'll be the first thing I try. Okay, yep, no vector.io. We're already on our other branch. We're just gonna go back, pre-commit, run, fix the file. Did I touch that file? I feel like I touched that file. Intentionally. Okay, yeah, I was playing with displays. I don't know why those changes are here. Play limit 2, web workflow 0. I was trying to make a debug build for debugging multi-displays. Why it kept those changes, though. So, yeah, let's run it again. Okay, that is green, and then we should now only have changes in this file. Git remote -v. You have foamy guy, so we're gonna go commit and push. Go to foamy guy. DisplayIO unsigned warning. Our commit is here. It only touched one file. This is 7883. I'm so bad at spelling, I don't know. One C, two S's. One C, two S's. Okay. Next one up is, I think we're going to do Terminal IO next, because also I just have never really played with Terminal IO, so this seems like a good excuse to do that. This is saying Terminal IO, it fails when you try to just write some stuff to it after you create it. Anecdata left a version that works, but it creates a tile grid. No, this creates tile grid also. Okay, so we're going to try that. We're going to see it fail. Scott says terminal should verify that the tile grid has more than 1 by 1 and raise an exception if not. I'm guessing it is probably meaning inside of here, maybe? In the init of this? Let's try this though. I don't have a external display, so we don't need all of this code, but I'll take it to start with. Vector IO circle. We want to keep that, I guess. Take this code, put it here. Get rid of all of our display stuff. Just go display sport.display. They do? They did if t.show background. If it's gonna crash before this, then I suppose this doesn't matter. But if it didn't crash, I don't think we'd be able to see the output if we did not do this. So let's do that in case it doesn't crash. Theoretically, it will crash. Yeah, same thing with what they said. So 17 is actually on the right function, not the instantiation. Does it matter if you only do one character? Nope, still fails. Okay. File index is out of bounds. So Anecdata says, worked when I did it this way. Get the bounding box of the font that you're using. Then create the tile grid with some more things. So instead of this, have this. We also need to get this. Before we do all of that though, can we just give it 2x2 and see what it does? Because I don't, it's not going to be able to write 3 characters into 2x2 anyway, is it? So if we go XY, instead of display width over font X, let's just say let's just say 2. 2, and then tile width. Tile width, I guess we would need to get from here probably. Stupid. Palette. We'll put the other palette that we already had. Although maybe we need 2. Maybe we should use the palette with 2 colors. This is no longer called sprite, instead it's logbox. Okay. Didn't crash, but it doesn't seem to show anything either. But it does not append the logbox to the background, so would not necessarily be expected to do anything. That's in REPL. There we go. Okay, I have a pink rectangle and a very, 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 very tiny A. Probably we will not be able to get, thanks from guy Dinner Bell, have to catch the rest offline. Yeah, take it easy, Retired Wizard, thanks for hanging out for a bit. I hope you enjoy your dinner. So we have a pink rectangle and a very, very tiny letter A. Which makes sense because the default font is very small. The pink, I don't know about. I'm a little surprised by the pink since we chose colors white and black here. But I guess there must be pink. I mean, oh, I see. We used the wrong one of those. That makes more sense. Okay, now we have black background with white, very, very, very tiny A. And we only wrote one letter, but if we write 2 letters, we would be able to see them both. And if we write 3 letters, it will wrap to the next line. Cool, okay. This is super basic, but I have never actually used DisplayIO to do this before. I've always known DisplayIO, like when you're in REPL or Serial Console, it's showing you output, but I have never actually used it from code like this. So the crux of it is essentially you just can't, this can't be 1 by 1. Oh. It can't be 1 by 1 if these are the defaults? What do these default to? 0? Where's tile grid? None. Width and height default to 1, tile width and tile height default to none. Defaults to the full bitmap. How's it going? Password 16 over there on YouTube. That one crashed. Oh. It crashed for the same reason though. Dude. I'll index out of bounds. Width of a single tile in pixels defaults to the full bitmap and must evenly divide into the bitmap's dimensions. It says int none. But then when you actually explicitly pass none, crashes. Fascinating. Let's take a peek on this side. I'm pretty sure this is the default, and I think that means it's 0. How's the code going? I would say pretty good. Pretty good. Overall good day of coding today. How about you? You got any code going on over there? 0? Well, does it fail with the same, the same error as when we don't pass it? Okay. So, yeah, technically, I guess this shouldn't say none, right? Technically, it's 0, right? Let's try to prove that further. So if you don't pass them, and then you say print logbox tile width, CW. Just learning Python today. Nice. I'm certainly a big fan of Python. Hope you're having a fun time learning it. $570. Not 0. And I guess it's the width of this bitmap then, I suppose, is what it ultimately works itself out to being. In our case, that bitmap is just internal in the system somewhere. But if I set it to 0 explicitly, does it also go to 570? Yes. Okay. I mean, I don't know. I suppose it's splitting hairs. I feel like most correct would be that these would actually say 0, and that in here it would specify that the default value of 0 will cause it to have this behavior. Hopefully worded in a more succinct way than that. I'll leave it for now, though, because it does seem not necessarily related to specifically what we were sat down to do. So, yeah, when you go 0, 0, and that's fine, but didn't we try this and it succeeded? W6. Yeah, that succeeded and did print a character. Printed the last character, I guess, right? Yeah, it's the C, because I guess everything else scrolled off. It printed the A, then it printed the B, then it printed the C, and they each scrolled off. All of this happened so fast that we probably didn't see it. So this can succeed with 1 by 1, but in order for it to succeed with 1 by 1, you have to set the tile width and the tile height. Also, I will say, though, 1 by 1, like, it doesn't make such a great terminal, so throwing an exception in that case does seem pretty fair also, because, like, 1 by 1 doesn't, you can't even really see anything. I mean, honestly, even, like, I would argue, like, even up to, like, maybe 4 by 4 is, like, still kind of too small to actually mean anything. Not sure if I'm using this correctly. Found no examples. That's the other thing that could come from this, actually, would be example code for terminal IO. That would be nice to have. I'll be back in 1 second. Okay. Scott says terminal should verify that the tile grid is more than 1 by 1 and raise an exception if it is not. So technically, if I'm understanding what Scott says correctly, that's meaning that he believes this should raise the exception. It can actually run today, but it is kind of nonsensical since it can only print one thing. And then if you don't include these, that is when you get the error that it does actually report with the defaults, which is that it tries to say tile index is out of bounds. I wish we could see the rest of the stack trace. So I think it would make the most sense to do this inside of the constructor. I don't actually have terminal IO in this. Scopes. Oh. Edited my scope, but then took me off of it. Yeah. Somewhere in here, it'd be nice to have a full example. So right now, there's not a whole lot of validation going on in here. So our tile grid is where? Our tile grid got passed as the first argument. Really? Seem right, doesn't it? I'll make new. Scroll area. Scroll area, there we go, okay. Scroll area. Scroll area this. This is validating type to make sure that it's a tile grid. Okay. Validate type on the status bar only if the status bar exists. Font.io built-in font, validate the type of it. Do terminal object here. And that's calling into construct. So here, I think is where we should be checking the size of it. And I think we could be using the mparg validate minimum range or something. I always forget where these are at. Control click. I wonder if I could find some like sea lion guru that knows more about this IDE in the context of C projects that could help me set it up to where control clicks would work. That'd be super convenient. It's inside pi. Arg check. P arg. Oh, so there's validate int min, which is what we would. Yeah, that's what we want, because we don't. The maximum range would be enforced by tile grid. And it should either already be enforced by tile grid, or if it's not, it should be enforced inside of tile grid, not terminal. Whatever the maximum size is, that should be an issue in tile grid, not terminal. In terminal, though, the minimum size is supposed to be 1. So we would want to go, that's going to return the int. An I suppose the thing is we don't really need I after we're done. We really just want to do the check. And then we don't really need our variable. Can we call it without can we call it without catching the variable? Can I just say np arg validate min, int min that would be I and then minimum, so I is that's going to be on the tile grid, which is scroll area dot, no, is it going to be an arrow though? They do this thing, right? Tile width. You know what, before we start calling this kind of stuff, why don't we just do a print? How do you do it? Np print printf ampersand flat print np plat print scroll area arrow tile width. Let's see if that even gets printed. Do that. Go to the other one of these, or oh, I guess they changed. I don't know. We don't have the expressive one anymore. Ports expressive. Do we need to export again? Probably. Export. Oh, nope. Export.shell. ls make board. Copy that without build. Still got the dash make board clean. I'll do word feather. We have edited that. The only thing that's different, oh, this is a string. Hold on. It's not supposed to be a string. Only thing we have edited is printing the tile width if that actually succeeds. Mostly what we're trying to figure out is that the right way to access the tile width or not? Which I think it is, but I'm not 100% confident. We probably should have printed some more stuff. Honestly, it might fail anyway, because I think it wants a string. And I think this will be an int, and that might make it mad. I don't actually know. It's not going to have a new line or anything, though, so even if it does print, it's actually going to look kind of messed up. Yeah. Maybe that wasn't the right way. Oh, I don't have a freaking semicolon on it. That'll do it, won't it? Let's try more, I guess. Let's do a string, and then we could do %d for a digit, I think, and then we can have a new line after it, and then that can be like this. Let's close that. Let's try again. Those things are the standard warnings. They do look scary though, because they're like inside of a file called Panic Arch. Seem like they would be bad. Got our build. Let's go to bootloader. That to there. A little bit washed out. That did not really help. CW, it did, 570. So, oh, but tile width is not what we want. We want width, not tile width. Tile width is the number of pixels in the width of each tile. Width is the number of tiles in the tile grid, which is the one we care about, actually. So that's width and height, and then let's try this. mp arg validate int min of scroll area width minimum 2. Or should we allow 1x2? I don't know. It gets complex if we want to allow 1x2, I guess. We would need to like check one and then also check the other one. I don't know. We'll get feedback on it if we submit the PR. I feel like a minimum, I mean, honestly, like 4x4 or 5x5 or something like that, I feel like should probably be the minimum. I suppose there may be cases, though, where you want something less. Yeah, it is a good question. Do we want to allow 1x? So like 1x4, for instance, should that be allowed? And if we do our int min like this, it's going to toss it out because 1 is less than 2. So even if we did have... So what if we did validate int min of the width plus... Can you add? I don't know. These might not be like addable, honestly. So if we add those together in a 1x1, that would give us 2. And anything bigger, it would give us at least 3. So if our min here says 3, that means that a 1x2 should succeed, a 2x1 should succeed, but a 1x1 should fail. And also anything bigger should fail. 0 might do something weird. I don't know what 0 would do, though. 0 might mess it up. This takes also the arg name, which is a QString thing. Grab this. The name of the variable. Yeah, the problem is it's not just, it's on the tile grid, right? So string, it's a scroll area, well, and it's also, yeah, maybe we shouldn't be doing the plus thing, honestly. Trying to get a little tricky. The problem with that is we can't actually put like what, can't actually put the real thing. Because this would be scroll area, I guess. But it's not technically really the scroll area that needs to be greater than 2. It's the scroll area width or scroll area height. And then if we do actually want to allow the 1x2s, then we wouldn't know which one of these to specify. Okay, we're gonna say, we're gonna ixnay the plussing. We're not gonna do this. Instead, we're just gonna say width minimum, we're just go 2x2. Let's just say you gotta be 2x2. Width minimum is 2. Scroll area. So I don't think I can have a dot here. But I don't know. We could try it. I assume this doesn't work. I would assume you're not allowed to have a read in that. If it does let us though, that would be pretty convenient. 1 wide by 4 high could be used for vertical text along a graphical axis. That's true, yeah, 1 wide. Oh. Yourself a little like edge. You put 1 character, 1 digit in each one. The way that it would scroll would be kind of weird though. Using a label might end up being easier depending on what you're trying to put there. Because the way they scroll, I think, makes it where you couldn't really set, like if you set all 4, then you couldn't just change like the second one very easily. You'd have to write all 4 again, I think. Whereas with label, you might be able to just set the second one to something. Okay, yeah, does not like the dot there. Not a request for member width in something, not a structure or union. So, I mean, I guess we could say underscore here. Sure if that works either, though. It might need to be literally this, in which case we might not. Might need to write our own exception message. Not sure if you can put arbitrary ones here or not. Oh, we don't have semicolons. So spoiled by JavaScript. Requiring semicolons, but not like caring if you don't have them very much. Has no member named width. What? Yeah, it does. We printed it. It worked. Am I missing something? Print that earlier? I have an extra print statement somewhere that I forgot about that was actually what was printing. I don't think I did ever print this version with the new line and the %d. Has no member width. You know what's weird is this one says has no member width, but this one says has no member height. Did you mean tile height? But there's a tile width too. I wonder why it doesn't suggest it. Interestingly, it has the arrow red here and the name red here. Wait, that feels like we failed to close something, right? Still fail. Did we not did I swear we got a successful run with that? How's it going, Nerd Doc? Crossword puzzle answers? Yeah. Yeah, crossword puzzle would be exceptionally hard with terminal IO, I think. Unless if there's a way that you can fill in the cells other than the write function. Like, the code we have currently is just calling write on the terminal, which basically causes everything inside of it to scroll, which would make it tough to do a crossword puzzle. You'd pretty much have to track the full state of the board and call write on the entire board state each time, I think. Maybe we, nope. Sorry about that. I was gonna say maybe we just needed a clean build, but no. Oh, because it was tile width that I did. I mean, it has a width also. Bitmap width? Get width, get height. Width of the tile grid in tiles. Width and this must be why it doesn't work, right? We don't have a width on this. There's pixel width. There's width in tiles. I'm assuming width in tiles and height in tiles is probably the ones we want, but there is no just width or height. But there is a tile width and a tile height. I'm guessing that's why we were allowed to do that one. So we can maybe say width in tiles. What's that print? I don't actually know if that will work. Does not seem like it. Const char. Expected const char. Oh, okay. Now we get what I thought would be the problem the first time, which is that it wants a string and we have given it not a string. Okay, that did build. It would print the width. We don't have the validate going on anymore. Let's print the height while we're here. And let's see if it prints the numbers that actually make sense. And if it does, then we'll turn back on the validates. We'll worry about whether or not it can width and not. One thing I'd like, we got some feedback from the author of Vector.io. Build. The only thing I'd currently advocate for changing in here, and looks great to me, think you could use the value as is instead of typecast. It's doing a signed integer, but no longer, but no big deal either way. Oh, unsigned here instead of signed. Presumably. No big deal either way. Okay. Cool. Scott or anybody else has thoughts on that one? Okay, this has copy. Here we're back to the original error, which is on a 1x1. We did get 1 and 1 here, which is correct. If we do 2x2 there, we also do still get 2x2. It's still gonna raise the error. It seems like you need to put this also. Index bounds. With the validate int min. Oh, this is like a... They're kind of messed up anyway, truthfully. Can Terminal IO support a strip of segmented alphanumeric LED displays? I don't believe so. If you mean like a 7 segment? You mean something like these? I don't believe so. And if you mean something different, then I'm not sure exactly what you mean. To the best of my knowledge, though, it only supports displays, or like bitmap displays that essentially show a 2-dimensional grid of pixels, whereas those 7 segments are not really a 2-dimensional grid of pixels. So I suppose you could think of them that way, since they are just on-off for each little segment, but like they're not really in a grid, they're in a special layout that makes them turn into actual numbers. That did succeed. See, that's the thing though. This is not going to raise still. And it is still going to give you this error. That's when you call right. Alphanumeric display uses HTK. This is looping over data. Was the string essentially. Going through each one, it's checking them to see if they are commands. Seems like guess all of this stuff is handling commands. This would be handling ASCII. This would be handling ASCII by getting the glyph out of the bitmap from the font and calling setTile. So I assume this call is where our exception gets raised from. Bunch of extra rules for specific characters. That's interesting. Oh yeah, hey, there's Python tiles and all this stuff. That tile? Tile index out of bounds. Tile index is greater than equal to self.tiles in bitmap. Be interesting to print all this stuff out to figure out which value is actually outside of which range. Because, I mean, we can add this check for minimum 2, but it's not actually going to stop it from raising the same error if you don't specify these also. It didn't actually succeed at raising. Yeah, I didn't have this. Yeah. We didn't actually have this version running, obviously, because this version also doesn't work because that is the wrong name. It's the wrong. Possibly these will not work also, I'm not sure. That's all right. Let's see. King terminal. I was thinking out loud again. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, just tile grids, to the best of my knowledge. Way to think of it. Anything that doesn't display with a tile grid, I don't think it does support. Okay, that one actually did succeed. We'll go to bootloader. Except for I was too slow. Wait for another second, and then go to bootloader. Copy. Okay. All right, there we go. So it does let me do the underscore. And it does successfully raise. But pie. Yeah, so if we did 1 here but 2 here, then it would tell us height, scroll area height instead of. So is that acceptable, or is that the right way to do that? Should we do, because we can't do a dot unless if there's some way to escape it. Can we give it one of these ones? Probably not, right? Because this has like actual meaning inside the code. I'd assume this is not what we would want to see on the Python side anyway. I mean, on the Python side, a dot would be the most accurate thing. But I don't know. I don't think we can do a dot. Underscore might be the winner. I mean, I'd be super surprised if this one actually succeeds. I'm definitely gonna run it to see what it prints. Okay, it doesn't allow that. Arrow, it says bad because it's trying to like actually use it as an arrow. So I guess we'll leave it as underscore for now. Get rid of our prints. And theoretically, this solves the base case of what Scott mentioned. I will rebuild again just because this one, I mean, it should be functionally the same with the exception of the prints, but we'll rebuild it again, make sure I haven't messed anything up. And then I'm going to check this one out. I'm going to put it on the device. I'm going to test it one more time, make sure it's still printing all the right stuff. And then I think I'm probably going to wrap up after that. While we wait on the last build, for folks that are interested, if you want to watch more content like this, I do stream on Saturday mornings as well. So I will be back tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Central Time, and I will be streaming some more CircuitPython stuff. Probably we will work on some of this display stuff. Probably we'll also work on some other things as well tomorrow. But it will just kind of depend. on what else I do tonight and what else I get done in the morning tomorrow before the stream. Those are over on my own channels rather than the Adafruit channel, which is where you are watching me here. That's over on foamyguy_Twitch. You can follow there if you want to get notifications. You also just head into the live broadcast chat room in the Discord, though. I will drop links in there as well, since the YouTube link is different each week. I always put the link in there when I'm getting started. So come hang out tomorrow morning, have some coffee, and follow along with some Circuit Python development if that sounds fun to you, where I will be tomorrow. Bootloader, copy that in. Yep, take it easy, DJ Devin. See you in the morning. Booting. There we go. So yeah, height must be greater than 2. That's because the one that I left it on was the height one. We go 2 by 2, then it succeeds, but it's still gonna fail inside right. I think maybe we want to try to dig further, because I think maybe we want to. I feel like we either want to stop this one from raising, or if not stop it from raising, it should have a better error, because it doesn't really tell you what's wrong here, right? Like, I guess it should say something about these or something. I don't know. I feel like, though, this error doesn't really tell you. Maybe there's some kind of way we could look inside of right and figure out more specifically what is out of bounds and what the bounds actually are. If we put that back, then we can have our 2 by 2. Where's our, okay, yeah, TW is right here. It's called display.show. What called root group? Strangely, the display is still just showing serial. Actually live. It's not updating though. See that? I feel like I've run into this 1 or 2 other times. I don't recall the exact sequence of events that got me to there before, though. Feels like our display instance was like disconnected somehow. Okay, that's our 2 by 2 with our 3 digits in it, and then the kind of like end all be all test would be this one. This should fail and tell us width needs to be greater than equal to 2. And then I did not make a branch for this, so let's do that real quick. New branch. Validate terminal tile grid big enough size. Validate terminal tile grid size from Adafruit main. No track. We ran pre-commit before, I think. Oh, that was interesting. Go to foamyguy. I'll make a PR with that, and then I will sign off for the night. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Enjoyed hanging out with all of you. Thanks for all the folks in the chat. This is number 7885. And that is it for tonight. So I will be back at tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Central Time, like I said before. I'll drop links in the Discord when I'm getting started. I do hope everyone has a good night tonight and a good rest of your weekend and all of that such stuff. If I don't see you during the stream tomorrow, I'm going to cut off the stream now, and I am going to try to give it an extra minute or two before I push the stop button on YouTube to hopefully make it to where we actually get to the end of the real stream of me talking before it cuts out on YouTube. We'll see if I'm successful at that, though. I'll have to go back and watch after the fact. But that's it for now. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.